this point, I'd like to call the Midland County Board of Commissioners meeting to order for September 15th, 2020 at 9:04 a.m. And would you call roll, please?
Commissioner Snyder?
Here.
Glazer?
Here.
Terwilliger?
Here.
Geisler?
Here.
Dorian?
Here.
Nosen?
Here.
Chairman Bone?
Here.
7 present, 0 absent.
At this point, I'd like to ask Commissioner Twilliger to lead us in the invocation and then the pledge, please.
Heavenly Father, we come today to honor you and to remind ourselves of your significance in our lives. We ask for your blessing on this meeting. We ask that your wisdom would guide us as we seek to accomplish the goals of today's meeting. Thank you for the opportunity you give us to serve you and to serve others in our community. May our actions and our attitudes please you today. And also, Lord, we continue to pray for our healthcare workers, and even more than that, we continue to pray for our teachers and our students for your governance over them and protection and patience and all the blessings that you can offer, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You want to see the folks that are in attendance. Hit the plus there. Then you can scroll over and see who's here.
Mark, you with us?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Somebody muted me. Okay, could I get a motion to approve the minutes for September 1st and September 8th of 2020?
So moved.
Support.
Do we have support? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same? Okay, we approve the minutes for September 1st and September 8th of 2020 and move on to the acceptance of the bills.
We have 3 sets of bills today, properly addressed. General bank claims for the weeks of 8/10 through 8/14, $1,968,989.31, with total general fund expenditures $53,002.60. General bank claims for the weeks of 8/17 through 8/21, $380,432.61, with total general fund expenditures $24,957.61. General bank claims for the weeks of 8/24 through 8/28, $494,337.32, with total general fund expenditures $127,927.74.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the bills.
Support.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same? Okay, we will approve the bills, and we are now going to move on to the special program of the day. Now, before I announce the special program of the day, I just want to make sure after diversity, it says equity. Is that supposed to be equality, or is that equity is correct?
Where is it, Mark?
On the, I'm just going to go presentation. So the special program of the day is presentation regarding local efforts underway around diversity. I'm thinking equality and inclusion with Sharon Mortensen and Diane Brown Wilhelm. Thank you, Sharon and Diane, for being here. Haven't seen you yet, but I'm sure you're on the line somewhere.
Yeah, this is Scott here. I just want to kind of introduce this subject. Sharon came to me as part of the Health and Human Services Council and explained what was going on at the city And I believe, Diane, it was you that had sort of initiated this effort to look at, I do believe diversity, equity, and inclusion is the right term.
Okay,
But I'm going to leave it up to Diane to explain that. And I invited them in with your approval to come and talk about this initiative. It literally is going to be countywide, and I know the city is involved, and Sharon with the foundation is involved. And without further ado, I'm going to leave it to somebody to talk. I don't know, Diane, are you going to be leading the discussion?
I don't see Diane on yet.
I don't,
Sharon
I-
Morrison is on.
Is Sharon on?
Sharon is on. She's on. Let me.
She off mute?
Hi,
Oh,
Sharon.
there's Sharon. I just saw her. Sharon, you're still on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We
We
can,
can.
absolutely.
Good morning. My apologies, we had a slight problem getting in and I just texted the passcode to Diane, and so she should be joining us shortly. So, and I know, Jessica, you're going to be driving the slides for us today, I believe. So we'll go ahead and put them up and then hopefully we will have Diane on just momentarily.
I just realized that's Diane Bristol there.
A different Diane.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we can see it now. I
Okay.
can.
Certainly can see a slide, yep.
All right, well, good morning, and thanks for the opportunity to present. And I'm hoping as soon as Diane Brown hops in, I'm going to let her take this over because she is the one that really got this whole initiative going here in our city. And the context of the work that she's doing is this, We Hear You. And some of you may have seen the letter that Diane, Nicole Ford, our police chief, and Maureen Donker, our mayor, put together. And it was to respond to what was happening in our country as a result of the murder of George Floyd on May 25th. And so she brought together a group of individuals. And again, it started with a letter that she did. And this really fits with the work that we're doing as a city and a county around Together Forward Bold, an exceptional place where everyone thrives. So we'll go ahead and go to the next slide here.
And Sharon, I
Oh,
am on.
Great, good. Well, then I'm going to hand this over. I think many of you know Diane Wilhelm Brown. She serves as a city council member, and she is the one that was behind the start of this group that is working in our community. So Diane, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Sharon. And thanks everyone, Board of Commissioners, for inviting us here today. And as Sharon mentioned, we did send a letter to the community, and we wanted to be proactive with this because, one, we didn't want responses coming that we weren't doing anything, and just the perception that we were ignoring what was happening. And so the whole purpose of that was to acknowledge the pain, the frustration and unrest, not only within our country, but within our community. And we found it interesting because right as we sent the letter out was when we were notified that there was going to be a protest here. And of course, we support protests. We just prefer that they be peaceful protests, which we had. Also, we wanted to acknowledge the progress that we have made as a community in Midland, and knowing that there's still more work to be done. But in order to be part of that change, we can't ignore or pretend that we don't have issues here, and that we're willing to have those discussions that are going to be uncomfortable. I tell, as we move through this, that, you know what, we should get comfortable being uncomfortable, because when we're uncomfortable is the time when we grow together, we make change, we move forward, and we learn. And those are some of the things that we need to do. And so when we talk about those discussions regarding racial biases and disparity, you know what, that's the only way, is to acknowledge it and move forward together to be able to make real change that's going to be lasting. The other thing we wanted to make sure too is that we have a lot of feedback and input coming in on what we should be doing as a city. But in order, and we can always make change, but just because somebody says we need to do something and make a change doesn't mean it's going to be exactly what we need. So we want to make sure the things that we're doing actually make an impact within our city. And we believe that change begins with us as local government and a community. Next slide, please. So why do we want to be proactive? Because we want to be able to say that we've done all that we can to support our community and address the issues that are out there. And when we say we as us as in local government, but more than that, we want the community to be able to stand with us to say, yes, our community has stood together, our local government has stood together to support addressing the issues at hand and making the change. We also want to avoid some of the issues and reactions occurring across the country. And that's not to say we don't have issues here. It's saying everything that we're seeing on a national basis in the news may not necessarily apply to us, but we need to really understand what those issues are in depth. And we also want to be proactive, mitigating the risk of violence, destruction to neighborhoods, businesses, government property, and putting people at risk. We've seen a lot of that. And rather than be reactive, I think we want to be positioned where, one, we hope it doesn't happen here, but two, if it should at some point, we want to know how we're going to respond versus trying to get a plan together at the last minute and not having thought about it. We also want to continue the work that's been started. We have to acknowledge also that in 1972, the Midland Black Coalition started, and that's when the first Black families actually moved to Midland. And there were things that, with most of them coming from the South, that they couldn't find here. So some of the things that they did was put together a welcoming committee. They had programs at the library to provide education and books on, the history of Blacks in America, the things that they're doing. And also there were lots of products that they couldn't find. Black businesses weren't here. So they started that, and that continued through 1994. Afterwards, we had the Cultural Awareness Coalition, who does the same, similar, pulling together the different ethnic backgrounds, nationalities together for a more inclusive community. And they've made a lot of progress. They've been active now for 25 years. And then there was the Community Success Panel, which was the diversity group, which formed in 2014. So when somebody asks, has Midland made progress? We definitely have. And that's without a doubt. If you look at where we were in the 70s versus where we are now, where we were when I came here in '83, there's been a lot of progress made, and we want to continue that. If you go back to the 70s, there was a lack of cultural identity. By the time the 80s came, you know what? There was acceptance of the differences and bringing forth those differences within our community. Then we've moved to being more inclusive, where we're working to have everybody in the community feel included. And now we're moving forward with being co-construction, which is where everyone who could be impacted by an issue, whether now or in the future, has a seat at the table and their voices are heard. So our approach for moving forward, there are 6 categories which we're focusing on, and that's police, business, government structure, from an elected as well as appointed officials, healthcare, housing, income, and poverty. And before we can say, hey, we're going to take action and do something, we're going through a data collection process. So the first step of this data collection process is looking at the existing data that we have, then having community discussions to say, here's the data we do have. Here's where the data is identifying gaps and potential opportunities, and to dig deeper and have those discussions in the community to really understand, what it means. The second part of that would be saying, identifying the gaps in the data to be able to have a diversity, equity, and inclusion assessment, to look into other areas that our initial data that we have may not identify. And again, be able to identify our strengths, because we have to acknowledge those things which we are doing well. And I'm sure, there's many in the community that may not even be aware of all the things that have been done, all the things that are in progress. But we have to recognize that, as well as where do we have opportunities for improvement? Where are we seeing inequities and disparities? And once we can nail down what those issues are, we know there will be some data that will come in that could be outside of the scope of the work we're doing, but there's lots of initiatives and organizations doing work within the community, and we want to pass that data along and allow them to be a part of this, as well as take action if they so choose to. And then I've touched on the community discussions to really understand, the meaning, the depth of what that data may show are the issues. And then once we have that, we want to define what is our action plan? What's our strategy for addressing these areas of opportunity? How do we define success? Identify community partners to move forward with, and then prioritize those set tasks, set milestones, and execute. Will these things happen in 1 year, 2 years? No, I think this is something that will be ongoing. We can always, again, get better. We'll never, at this point, there's room for improvement, and it's not going to happen overnight. And the other thing we want to do from a transparency perspective is to have a dashboard to show where we are today. So as we move forward, we can say as a community, here are the things that we've done. Here's the progress that we've made. And my expectation is as we move forward, that will continue to change all the time, to show where we are and how we're improving. On July 13th, we did meet with Midland City Council, and it was a unanimous vote of support for the ongoing efforts of the data collection to determine what our local needs are. Oh, Sharon, back to you.
Thank you. And I'd like to share a little bit of where we are with some of the actions that have already been taken in terms of collecting data. Because one of the things we're going to ask you for today is a resolution of your support for the work that's being done right now in this area of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the data collection that's underway. So we are working with Saginaw Valley State University with the team there to help collect this information. And they've already begun analyzing local, state, and national data in those 6 areas of focus that Diane talked about: law enforcement, business, government structure, socioeconomics, housing, and healthcare. And they've already compiled data in housing occupancy value, ownership, crime, arrests, health disparities, income, poverty, food security, employment, and demographics. So they've been busy. They've been collecting all this information, and they are scheduled to speak with the Midland Business Alliance. So they have that coming up as well as they continue to collect information here. So we believe, as Diane shared, that this is really important. So we know what are the areas we should focus most on, what are the greatest needs in our community when we look at diversity, equity, and inclusion, and specifically when we start talking about race and equity. Mm-hmm. So on the next slide here, you see the Midland Area Community Foundation. So how do we figure into all of this? Well, as a community foundation, we're meant to be really whatever the community needs to help us move forward at a given point in time. And we support transformation, which honestly is what philanthropy is about, is helping to transform where we live. We believe in enriching and improving the quality of life. We want to build an inclusive community for all, and we want to confront inequity in all of its forms. And we're committed to, and this is a statement that's in actually our employee handbook, we're committed to fostering, cultivating, and preserving a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so the Cultural Awareness Coalition, which Diane already mentioned as one of the initiatives that got underway, goodness, now it's been 2 decades ago. So it's been quite a while that's been underway, but it's an initiative of the Community Foundation, and it's to make sure that Midland is an inclusive community for all. And that's the vision of the Cultural Awareness Coalition. And their mission is really to promote, encourage, share, and sustain cultural awareness throughout Midland. And that means that we understand ways of life of various groups of people, and that we respect and that we include all of those voices in our community. And as it says here, we want to make sure we have open doors to understand and help to create an inclusive environment in Midland County where everyone is accepted, included, and feels a sense of belonging, because we know for well-being, belonging is so important. One of the pieces on the next slide here, and this is something that everyone listening can participate in, and this is something that honestly was started. I know the city was very involved in, specifically our Mayor Maureen Donker, in this neighboring week. The Cultural Awareness Coalition has really taken this on and encouraged that. And that is coming up September 28th through October 4th. And as you can see on this, and I know the wording is pretty small here, but the idea is, as we focus on inclusivity in our community, we want to build a sense of belonging, connection between all people. And that starts in our neighborhoods with knowing who lives by us, helping to create friendships and build bonds, and just to support all those that live by us. And so that's a great way to start. There are a variety of activities that they're looking at, and I encourage you to look at getting involved in those. But this is one small step that we can take in terms of helping to build an inclusive environment, that we just reach out to those that live near us. And that's one way to do it. And certainly there are other ways that we can neighbor within other groups in our community, but I think that's a great way to do that. So as we look at the work that we're doing here, again, we want to ask, and we'll talk about this here in just a minute as Diane closes, we want to ask for a resolution of your support of this work that's going on. I know we've invited Scott Nosen to be a part of this We Hear You group and to represent the county on that. So we're really excited that he's willing to do that and to be part of this group as we collect the data and look at steps moving forward. And then we'd also like to ask for your support of the work that we're doing on this diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI as we call it for short, assessment that's underway. So I'll kick it back to you, Diane, on this last slide here.
Okay. And so when we look at the broader picture and our roles and responsibility as Midland City Council and the Board of Commissioners, we are here to protect and serve all the citizens within our community. We set policies, ordinances to accomplish those goals, and to partner with local leaders to achieve the future state for our community, not just for this generation, but also for the next generations to come. So hoping that we can move forward together, forward and bold, and continue working for Midland to be an exceptional place where everyone thrives. So thank you for your time, and hope you'll support the resolution.
Thank you, Diane and Sharon. Commissioners, do you have any questions? If you do, please raise your hands and we'll open it up to questions. Any questions? I see somebody with their hand up. Is that Scott? Yep, Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, it's me. Sorry. Trying to get my hand out of my face. Thanks for the presentation. I appreciate that. One quick question, and I know I spend quite a bit of time on these community success panels, and the one specifically on diversity and inclusion. And as you've mentioned, this is it's not new to the community. It's not new to some of our large employers. I guess my question is, what is it about this initiative that's different or the same versus what we did with the community success panel on diversity? And how do we make sure that we don't duplicate efforts?
I do see that the mayor is on. I'm going to ask her to address that when I didn't participate in the community success panel, and then I'll tag on afterwards.
Sure, thank you. I had the opportunity to be the liaison from the Community Success Panel for the Diversity Committee. So what we started to do, let me just give you a little history about what we've been doing there. We agreed that when we identified diversity, we said that was one of the 9 things that we said, if we can address these 9 issues that, with diversity being one of them, then we know we'd be able to reach that goal of together, forward, bold, and exceptional place where everyone thrives. So the diversity committee started to look what was across the county to see what was being done, because for exactly the reasons you said, Scott, is that we were not interested in duplicating anything that was out there. So we found that there were some programs that were done sporadically. If there was someone that was interested, they would come and they would go. But what we saw out there, that there was one group that was consistently meeting over time, and that was the Cultural Awareness Committee. So we then, and the chair of the diversity committee was Linda Holloman, and we met with the Cultural Awareness Committee to say, hey, can we come together so we're have a more robust effort in making, and helping this occur in our community. So certainly, as you have said, there are groups within companies who have very strong groups. We saw that within Dow, certainly they had a lot of affinity groups, and they had a very strong program inside the company, but it wasn't outside the company. So we began to work to say, how do we come together? So the Cultural Awareness Committee, it's really, I would want to say almost a convener, or we would like to be a convener, where there will always be different groups who are focused on it because they might have a different a different sense of what's important. So there is a group that might want to be more of an advocate, and they're going to actively advocate in a way different from cultural awareness. So welcome. So I would say neighboring and just a sense of understanding and education is what the Cultural Awareness Committee does. But we have groups like Perception, which focuses on LGBT, and they come to the meeting and they tell us what they're doing. So we come together to understand what everyone is doing or trying to understand, and so we don't do any of this duplication. So I would say that the work that's being done here really has, at some point may choose to say, okay, we can, after we gather this data, we can see who's doing what. Some people might want to take certain things on, but we right now we have a lot of committed people, but this is an opportunity for us to gather this data, which we think is really important to make sure that we are focusing on the right things.
Mhm.
And that's what, we're a data-driven community, and we want to, make sure that we're looking at that so we know that we're doing the right things right.
Right.
Hope that answers your question, Scott.
It does somewhat, but people who know me know that I have an aversion for duplicate work, and I think this is a great example. We're getting very, very good at articulating the problem, and maybe not so good at action space and solution space. So my plea is that we, to the extent possible, that we have collected enough data, understand what the problem is. Let's please move to some action space. And I think this is actually indicative of the national problem too. You hear the plea, just tell me what you want us to do. Tell me what we need to do. And I appreciate that. And I just want to make sure that all of our good work in the past, in terms of articulating the problem, doesn't go by the wayside, and we can focus our dollars and our energy on solution space. That's more of a speech than anything else, but I'll stop there.
Scott, I would say I'm really glad that you're going to be a part of our group because I think you have a bias toward action, and I think that will be very helpful. And I also think we're in such a unique time because across our nation, with the racial unrest, around inequities and injustice, I think if anything, we're probably poised to be able to take some actions that maybe in the past we wouldn't have been as inclined to do. So, and agreed, we don't need to keep collecting data, but I think it is important to know where are the gaps and then what are the steps for us to take. So again, you're going to be part of that. So glad that we'll have you as part of that process.
Okay, I do agree we're at an inflection point right here, and the bias towards action is pretty evident nationally and locally.
Yes.
Can I add one more thing? Scott, I think we all agree with you that, we want to be, again, as I say, doing the right things right, but we also want to be supportive and communicate with one another on what we're doing so we don't duplicate. I think this this data gathering is certainly, when we see those gaps, some group will say, step up and say, hey, that's exactly what we want to be doing. Another group might say, hey, this is what we want to be doing, but we want to come together to share. So we know exactly what's going on and we can fill those gaps that we may be having.
And I think the other thing that makes us different too is, we're seeing on the news things that are happening across other communities within the country. And we have had those come to us to say, hey, we would like to see your police department doing this. We feel there are injustices here with the Black families, or Black males in particular. And they do have their experiences, and we are hearing those things. Have they been addressed? Have they come forward to openly discuss? No, because there's a level of uncomfort there. And so that's when I say, we need to be comfortable getting uncomfortable. There are some things that could be revealed that everybody is totally unaware of. Are there houses that are being vandalized in our community? Yes, they are. Are there people who feel that Black males that feel they're racially profiled in Midland? Yes, they are. And so these are the things that we need to talk about and communicate with each other to really understand. And it has to be on both sides, not just one side, in order to move forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any other commissioner discussion or questions for Sharon, Diane, or Maureen, the mayor? If there is not, thank you all for a very good presentation, very informative, and we liked it. And we'll see what we can do about getting you a resolution.
Thank you.
Thanks again,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks. And we are going to now move on to public comment on anything today that is not on our agenda. Is there any public comment on anything not on our agenda? Going once, twice. Gone. I hear no public comments. So let's move in. Would you read Standing Committee Report number 1 for me, please?
Dated September 11th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen. We, your Administration and Operations Committee, recommend approval of Section 5311 grant agreement with the Michigan Department of Transportation with a term of 3 years from the effective date of authorization. The grant award of $70,260 will be passed through to County Connection for the purchase of 2 expansion vans. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, Chairperson, Scott Noson, Eric Dorian, Administration and Operations Committee.
Commissioner Geisler. We'll wait for you to unmute.
It's the button all the way on the left.
Host may have to unmute. Huh? The host may have to unmute. There's the unmute button right there. I'm muted too. I think the host is understanding. We stay muted.
If,
There
unmute,
it is. I got it.
Mr. Geisler.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, the A and O Committee recommends adoption of agenda item 98-9-20.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment on this item? Is there any commissioner discussion? No commissioner discussion. I'll give a little longer than usual just to make sure somebody's not on mute. But I think at this point I'll move forward. So Ann, will you call roll, please?
Commissioner Snyder,
Yes.
Glazer,
Yes.
Terwilliger,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Dorian,
Yes.
Noson,
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 2, please.
Dated September 11th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Administration and Operations Committee, recommend approval of the agreement with CSRS Disaster Recovery Management LLC to provide FEMA consulting services with all aspects of recovery and reimbursement documentation and planning due to the flooding and dam failures of May 2020. We recommend approval contingent upon any subsequent changes requested by CSRS. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, Chairperson, Scott Noson, Eric Dorian, Administration and Operations Committee.
Commissioner Geisler.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the A and O Committee recommends the adoption of agenda item 100-9-20.
Is there any public comment on this item? Is there any commissioner discussion?
Mark,
Yes.
sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt, Eric. I just would like to acknowledge Suzanne Satoon from CSRS. She's on the call with us today. And their company has already started. She's last week helping us, or the week before helping us with this process of working with FEMA and going out and doing visual site inspections of all of the properties that the county is going to be submitting project work for reimbursement. Suzanne, did you want to say anything real quick?
The fact that it's been very pleasant to work with all of you. You guys have been extremely very accepting to as far as for what we do for you guys. Midland County, I am so impressed. It is such a beautiful little town. Like I said, the people have been fabulous. We're really looking forward to working with you guys for your recovery. We have a great team assigned for you. And I think you're gonna have all the support that you need.
Wonderful, thank you. So just so the board understands, and I've mentioned this before, but I just want to reiterate, the county went through what we call a joint procurement process with some of the other entities in the community that we're going to be needing, or we thought would probably need a consultant, so that as the county leading this, they wouldn't have to, hopefully, we're trying to get this approved by FEMA, that places like the Center for the Arts and the Village of Sanford and the City of Midland wouldn't have to go through their own RFP process. They wouldn't have to waste time and resources. So when we put the request out for proposals, we had all of the entities that I was aware of that were potentially going to need a consultant's help on the required pre-proposal meeting. We also then, I put a team together with representatives from those groups, or a handful of sampling of those groups, to review the proposals once we got them. And we also had that same team of people do Zoom reference calls with the references from the two companies that we had submit RFPs. So based on that, the hope is that, so far the city of Midland is working with CSRS. Northwood University has already contracted with them. The Center for the Arts is looking to work with CSRS, and I'm hoping the Village of Sanford does as well. So just to thank you to those organizations to help that helped with this process, and I'm hoping that it is something that will help us leverage the reimbursement that we can get back from FEMA, and also help us be a little bit more efficient and coordinated in what we do. So thank you to Suzanne and her team.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne, and thank you for the input. Is there any other commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Glazer,
Yes.
Terwilliger,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Dorian,
Yes.
Noson,
Yes.
Snyder,
yes,
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 3, please.
Dated September 11th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen. We, your Administration Operations Committee and the Finance Committee, have reviewed the grant award from the Midland Area Community Foundation in the amount of $10,000. The grant funds will be used to support Midland County's Adult Drug Court Program. We recommend approval of this grant, and the Administrator Controller be authorized to make any necessary budget adjustments. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, Chairperson, Scott Noson, Eric Dorian, Administration Operations Committee, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Geisler.
Mr. Chairman, the A&O Committee recommends the adoption of Agenda Item 97-9-20.
And Commissioner Noson.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee also recommends adoption of Agenda Item 97-9-20.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Is there any commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Twilliger,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Dorian,
Yes.
Noson,
Yes.
Snyder,
yes,
Glazer,
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 4, please.
Dated September 11th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Administration Operations Committee and the Finance Committee, have reviewed the professional service agreement with the Midland County Convention and Visitors Bureau. The term of this agreement expires on December 31st, 2021. This agreement allows the county to provide emergency, non-congregate sheltering services during a public health pandemic. Cost varies dependent on utilization and will be reimbursable from FEMA. We recommend approval of the agreement and that the Administrator Controller be authorized to make any necessary budget adjustments. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, Chairperson, Scott Noson, Eric Dorian, Administration Operations Committee, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Noson
Uh,
and
Mr.
Commissioner Geisler. I'm sorry, I gotta go ahead. Let's start with Commissioner Geisler. I'm sorry, let me go back to that.
I recommend the adoption of Agenda Item 99-9-20.
And now Commissioner Noson.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee also recommends adoption of Agenda Item 99-9-20.
Do we have any public comment on this? Do we have any commissioner discussion? And roll call roll, please.
Commissioner Geisler,
Yes.
Dorian,
Yes.
Noson,
Yes.
Snyder,
yes,
Glazer,
Yes.
Terwilliger,
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 5, please.
Dated September 11th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen. We, your Finance Committee, recommend approval of the request by the Midland County Road Commission to levy the full 1 mil for each of the 2 voter-approved road millages in Midland County for 2021. Respectfully submitted, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Noson.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 91-9-20.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Any commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Dorian,
Yes.
Noson,
Yes.
Snyder,
yes,
Glazer,
Yes.
Terwilliger,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 6, please.
Dated September 11th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance Committee, recommend approval of the request to levy 0.38 mils for the purpose of funding the cost of school resource officers in Midland County in 2021. Respectfully submitted, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Noson,
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 92-9-20.
do we have any public comment on this item? Any commissioner discussion?
I just,
Commissioner Dorian?
is the 0.38 the full
No,
voter approved? It's
Uh,
less.
it's 0.4 is the total voter approved millage.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion, commissioners? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Noson,
Yes.
Snyder,
yes,
Blazer,
Yes.
Williger,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Dorian,
Yes,
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 7, please.
Dated September 11th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance Committee, recommend approval of the request to levy 0.3 mils for the purpose of contributing to providing board and care to current and future residents of Pinecrest Farms in 2021. Respectfully submitted, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Noson?
Just a brief note, I
Clarification.
think, yeah, it was 0.37, not 0.30. Is that correct?
I'm sorry if I said that wrong. It is 0.37.
Okay, with that correction, then the chair, Mr. Chairman, the the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 93-9-20.
Do we have any public comment on this? Do we have any commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Snyder,
yes,
Blazer,
Yes.
Terwilliger,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Dorian,
yes,
Noson,
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 8, please.
Dated September 11th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance Committee, recommend approval of the request to levy 0.45 mils for the purpose of funding the services provided by the Mosquito Control Department in 2021. Respectfully submitted, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Noson,
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 94-9-20.
do we have any public comment on this item? Is there any commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Glazer,
Yes.
Terwilliger,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Dorian,
yes,
Noson,
Yes.
Snyder,
yes,
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 9, please.
Dated September 11th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance Committee, recommend approval of the Michigan Department of Treasury Form 614, formerly known as the L4029, 2020 tax rate request as submitted. Respectfully submitted, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Noson,
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 95-9-20.
do we have any public comment on this item? Do we have any commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Twilliger,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Dorian,
yes,
Noson,
Yes.
Snyder,
yes,
Glazer,
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 10, please.
Dated September 11th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance Committee, have reviewed the Midland County Emergency Medical Services Advisory Board's proposed budget for the operation of emergency medical services presented by the Mid-Michigan Medical Center for Midland County, covering the fiscal year from July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. We recommend accepting of the proposed budget and further recommend approval of the request to levy 0.55 mils for the calendar year 2021. Respectfully submitted, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Noson,
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 96-9-20.
do we have any public comment on this? Do we have any commissioner discussion on this? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Geisler,
Yes.
Dorian,
Yes.
Noson,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Glazer,
Yes.
Terwilliger,
Yes.
Chairman Bone,
Yes,
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
thank you. That's it for our standing committee reports for the day. We do not have any RPCs. We do not have any old business, but we do have 2 items of new business I would like a motion to bring up.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, the same. Okay, and would you read our first item of new business, please?
New business number 1, dated September 11th, properly addressed. Ladies and gentlemen, I recommend the appointment of Ms. Diane Bristol to the Midland County Department of Human Services Board for a first term. The term for this appointment will be October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2023. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, Commissioner District Number 5, Midland County Board of Commissioners.
Commissioner Geisler,
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the adoption of Agenda Item 101-9-20.
thank you. Do we have any public comment on this item? Is there any public comment? Just going to give it a couple more seconds to be sure. Okay, no public comment. Is there any commissioner discussion?
Hi, Mark. This is Jeanette.
Hi, Jeanette, please go ahead.
I think Diane would be great for the position. I was just wondering, are there no other candidates that applied?
That is correct.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Mark,
you know, I
this is
think
Gay. Would it be possible for Diane to give us a brief description of her background? She's right on the Zoom with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. Would you be willing to do that?
Certainly. I was administrator of a 3-physician OB/GYN practice here in Midland for 33.5 years before I retired. I'm still very much up to date on healthcare issues. I'm still contracting with the Michigan State Medical Society and to help them with their legislative issues. I think I know all of you, and I think you all know me. So certainly if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Is there any questions from the commissioners?
I would just like to support Diane.
Okay, I'll do that through a vote in about 2 seconds here. So Diane, thank you for your application. We appreciate that. So
Yep,
at this
thank you.
point, I don't think we need to do roll call. I'm just going to ask everybody in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed, please say the same. Diane, thank you. We appreciate your service and look forward to working with you on the new position. At this point, I also think that it's really important to say thank you to Rick Payne for his many years of service to the board. Rick's done a good job. He's had his heart in it. And so we really appreciate Rick and all of his efforts. He's done a lot of great things for Pinecrest. So Rick, if you're out there, thank you. We really appreciate your service, and there'll be other positions available in the future. Please keep your mind open to those, whether it be with wherever it may be in the county, that you've been valuable to the county. So thanks again, Rick. And welcome, Diane. let's go on to new business item number 2, please.
It is September 14th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen. I recommend the approval of the staffing services agreement with NTech Medical Staffing for the provision of registered nursing services at Pinecrest Farms. Cost of service varies by placement type, and I recommend that the administrator controller be authorized to make the necessary budget adjustments. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, District Number 5, Midland County Board of Commissioners.
Commissioner Geisler.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the adoption of agenda item 102-9-20.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Is there any commissioner discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, the same? Okay, that item of new business also passes. So that's it for our new business. We are now on to commissioner comments, and I'd like to start today with Commissioner Twilliger.
I would just like to mention again that I'm very, very pleased and looking forward to working with Diane Bristol on the Pinecrest and the board, the DHHS board. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Geisler.
No comment.
And then Commissioner Dorian.
Oh, I'd like to thank Sharon and Diane and Mayor Donker for their presentation this morning. Hopefully we can make some progress on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Nelson.
No comment.
You out there, Commissioner Nelson?
He said no comment.
I said no
You said
comment. Did you hear it?
I think everybody's froze besides me.
No, I got it. You said no comment. I'm good.
I think Mark is the one that's frozen.
I
Mark's
think so
frozen.
too. Commissioner Snyder, do you have any comments?
No comment.
Commissioner Glazer?
Are you
No
there?
additional comments. I just support all that has gone before here. Thank you.
Okay.
Mark, are
so
you back
we
with
had a-
us?
Okay, so yeah, I don't know what happened. I called on Commissioner Nelson. Did he have a comment?
He did not, and neither did Commissioner Snyder.
Okay, and then Commissioner Glazer, I just missed the end of his comments. and
Yeah, he
no one-
just supported all other comments.
Okay, sounds good. And then I just have a couple comments today. First of all, yet again, I'd like to thank the Midland Area Community Foundation for their $10,000 grant today. That's fantastic. They always are on the county side and they help us out so much, as well as all the foundations do in Midland. And we're just so fortunate to have them. And then on the next thing I'd like to comment on, it's great to vote on the SROs today, the school resource officers. And just thinking back to getting that process done, what a great example of collaboration, the way we work with the schools, we worked with the city, worked with the county. And to make that happen, it wasn't that easy to make it happen, but it did happen. And I think we should all be proud of ourselves as a community there. And if I missed anybody on thanking, I apologize there, but it's great to have school resource officers, not just in the city, but the county and throughout our city intermediate schools too. So kudos to everybody that worked on that. Going to move on to commissioner meeting schedules and start with Commissioner Twilliger.
Yes, I have next Monday, the 21st, I have senior services. That will be a Zoom meeting. The 23rd, I have corrections, which is our quarterly meeting. And as I mentioned in executive, that had been postponed for a month. So I'll be looking forward to that. Hopefully it won't be postponed again. It's basically addressing the 21 budget will be the big discussion. On the 24th, I have drug court. That's a Zoom meeting as well. And I think I forgot to mention that tomorrow on the 16th, I have community mental health wraparound. And that is also a Zoom call. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Twilliger. Commissioner Geisler.
ANO this afternoon at 2:30.
Thank you. Commissioner Dorian.
Human Services is scheduled to meet Monday, the 28th at 2:00, and I would assume that it would be a Zoom meeting at this point. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Noson.
Yeah. First of all, I'm confused. Do we in fact have finance and A&O this afternoon?
No.
No, you do not.
I didn't think so. Okay. Okay, so I have on Monday, the 21st, NACO has, I've been assigned to the Finance and Government Affairs Steering Committee, and that
I
meets.
lost you guys again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can anybody else hear me?
Yes,
I
we
can hear you.
All right, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just Mark that's
All right.
lost.
On the 23rd, I have Health and Human Services at 9:30. On the 24th, I have the Water Asset Management Council, 9:30. That also will be a Zoom meeting. On the 25th, MAC board meeting, the big board, that meets at 10 a.m. and that's to be determined yet whether that's going to be in person or Zoom. On the 28th, we have Michigan Works in the Executive Committee at 3:30. And then on the 29th, we have the Finance Committee at 1:30. Oh, and one more thing before the next board meeting, the MAC Economic Committee meets at 10 a.m. on the 2nd. That's Friday. That's all I have.
Mr. Chairman, A&O meets on the 29th. My error.
Mark, are you on?
Yeah, Mark, you're on. There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry. I keep freezing up and then it's going back to mute, so I apologize for that. So Commissioner Snyder?
Hi there. I have the Road Commission on Thursday, the 17th, and Warren Township on the 21st, City of Coleman on the 22nd, and Road Commission on the 1st. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Glazer?
Getting off of mute there. Next Wednesday, the 16th. Actually, I guess that's tomorrow, Homer Township at 7 o'clock. Thursday, the 24th, I have Mid-Michigan Community Action at 4:30 in the afternoon. Monday evening on the 28th, afternoon, I have Human Services, 2 o'clock. And at the County Services Building here. And then Tuesday, the 29th, 5 o'clock, Mid-Michigan Community Mental Health. And that will be a Zoom meeting. So that will be all.
Annie, Mark's frozen up again.
All right, hang on just a second here. So Mark's the last one that's got a report on meeting schedule. So if he gets back on, we'll let him report on meeting schedule. Give him just a minute here. There he goes. All right, Mark, you're up for meeting schedule. And you're muted still. Mark, you're on mute, bud. There you go.
This meeting's ending kind of rough for me. I guess I need better Wi-Fi. Couple things I have on September 23rd at 11:30, I have the Great Lakes Bay Convention and Visitors Bureau. September 28th, I have the Midland Business Alliance at 3:30. Excuse me. And that is all I have for meetings before October 6th. So at that point, I would take a motion to adjourn before I freeze up again.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Support, and then all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned until all those opposed. I'm trying to get this done too quick. All those opposed, please say the same. Okay, we are adjourned until Tuesday, October 6th, 2020 at 9 a.m. to meet in a regular session of the Board of Commissioners and for the committees to resume their duties. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.